The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of Bronxnet or the program underwriters.
Hello and welcome to Open, the show that opens the Bronx and to the rest of the world to you. I'm Dorissa White, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough. Coming up, we'll update you on the latest news in the world of politics. Afterwards, the Bronx is now home to 5 of the city's 10 worst neighborhoods for diabetes-related death. This data provided by the health department. Diabetes could be preventable, and we have an expert to tell us more. Then healthy eating could be easy and fun and delicious here in our borough. And here's some options for all. We'll show you a day of yummy foods that are good for you. Later, as the midterm elections approaches, our station is preparing for a full coverage of what could be a historic night. Lastly, there's a TV show that highlights the music, culture, and history of rock and roll. All this and much more is headed your way because we're officially open. Hello everyone, I'm Dorissa White covering for Darren Jaime, and today is Wednesday, October 31st, 2018, and you're watching Open, a live program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to you. We also want to welcome our viewers on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, as Open is now being broadcasted live simultaneously on M&M's channel. You can stay connected to us via Twitter at Bronxnet TV, and on Facebook at Open Bronxnet Television. A lot has been going on through this past week, and we'll take you through it with Bronx updates. A teenager accused of raping a 11-year-old girl in the bathroom of the Bronx Park earlier this month was found dead in an apparent suicide, police sources say. Zevin Augusto, who was accused of raping the girl on October 14th, was found dead this past Monday, NYPD sources said. He'd asked her to come into the public bathroom at the Hilton White Park and then attacked her. She was taken to a local hospital for treatment. In other news, a child has died from the flu, marking the first flu-related pediatric death this season in the city, officials said Thursday. Acting Health Commissioner Dr. Octorius Barboat encouraged all New Yorkers to get immunized against the flu, especially kids 6 months of age and older, pregnant women, and the elderly. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention reported that there were about 80,000 deaths and 900,000 hospitalizations connected to the flu across the country last year. With about 12,000 New York City student veterans at risk of eviction from their homes in the coming months, city officials on Monday announced a plan to provide emergency rental assistance. The Department of Veterans Services and the Department of Social Services are streamlining the process for those student veterans to get evaluated for financial assistance, said Mayor Bill de Blasio. An IT program has created a backlog for payments to be processed at the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs after President Donald Trump made these changes to the law last year, the agency said. The de Blasio administration said first-year students are being most affected by the technical error. The federal agency says it plans to eventually reimburse students the difference. That's all for Bronx updates. We'll be back after this.
I guess sometimes things just happen. Devastating things. Your whole world changes in an instant. That's what happened to me the day my mother had a stroke.
I'm Paul George, and I want you to spot a stroke fast.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911.
Protect the ones you love.
Spot a stroke fast.
For all the papas out there, let's stop what we're doing and take a moment. A moment to be with our kids. They can be loud moments, goofy moments, sporty moments, dorky moments, kooky moments. Moments where we talk or walk or just hang out. It doesn't really matter. They all count because every time dads take a moment to be with their kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's all take a moment to make a moment today.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Behold, the angry giant. Behold, the angry giant. Behold, the angry giant. Behold, the angry giant.
It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Diabetes is one of the most reoccurrent illnesses in the Bronx. In 2015, 9.4% of the population had diabetes. Approximately 1.25 million American children and adults have type 1 diabetes. Joining us now with more details is Dr. Rita Louard, Director at Clinical Diabetes Center at Moses Campus on the Montefiore Health System.
Thank
How are you today?
I am doing well.
All right, well, tell me a little bit about diabetes and the prevention methods.
So one of the reasons we're concerned about diabetes is it is so prevalent. We are one of the boroughs with the highest prevalence of diabetes. We have high risk of risk factors for diabetes as well as hospitalizations. So one way to help with this is to try to prevent it. And we have efforts, programs that have been developed to help people prevent diabetes.
And what are some of those health methods?
So we really focus on healthy lifestyle. One of the things that we want people to do is to exercise and eat healthier. And as part of this, we have a month where we're trying to raise the awareness of diabetes and the ways to prevent it. And that month is November.
Now I've heard of some people not knowing they have diabetes, and they have gone years without knowing diabetes. What are some of the signs to know that you might have type 1 or type 2?
So most people who have type 1, it's a very clear diagnosis, they're very symptomatic. But people with type 2, it can come on gradually, and so they can start with feeling a little bit more thirsty, going to the bathroom a little bit more, feeling very tired, perhaps gaining weight and eating more. So many of these things can be signs and symptoms, and one of the important things is to get checked. So every adult over the age of 45 should get checked. And because we're seeing such high rates of diabetes in our communities, we're actually asking people with high risk to get checked earlier.
Absolutely. Now, what if, you don't have any of these signs, however, it runs in your family? Because I've heard so many times, especially in the Bronx, it runs in my family, but, I don't really have any signs.
So we're recommending that people, even without signs and symptoms, if they have risk factors, and that can be being overweight, having a family history of diabetes, having a child that weighs over 9 pounds, having a history of diabetes during pregnancy, all of these are risk factors that you should be aware of and should probably prompt you to go to your doctor earlier to get the test for diabetes.
Absolutely. And what does that test look like exactly? Is it just a normal blood
It's
test?
just a blood test. But one of the things we also do is we want people to know about diabetes, know that we have very effective treatments for not only preventing, but also treating diabetes. And so November, American Diabetes Month, is one of the months that we really focus on getting this information out into the community.
And I've heard, some people who have went with diabetes untreated and they develop diabetic ketoacidosis. Now, I don't understand exactly what that is. Could you kind of share some?
It's one of the acute emergencies that we see with diabetes. So this is an emergency where the blood sugars get very high. And because there's not enough insulin in the body, you can develop acid buildup that can be life-threatening. So some of the signs and symptoms that we talked about earlier, going to the bathroom a lot, feeling real thirsty, and perhaps even losing weight because the body is kind of metabolizing itself. Those are signs and symptoms of the diabetic ketoacidosis. But also, remember, we see this usually with people with type 1 diabetes, and it's not as common as you would expect. However, the more common type of diabetes, the type 2, that's the one we really want to focus with the prevention efforts. And so, November 2nd, is one of our kickoff events for American Diabetes Month. American Diabetes Month in November is the time that we really get out, talk to people, answer these questions that they may have, and our kickoff event is going to be at the Montefiore campus, Moses campus, at the Grand Hall from 3:30 to 6. We're going to have all kinds of vendors there that will talk to people about diabetes. And our theme this year, drum roll, is diabetes in our world. And so diabetes affects diverse populations throughout the world. And we really want people to know that you can eat food that is common to you and your culture, but still do it in a healthy way. So we're going to have vendors who are going to talk about that. We're going to have people talking about healthy eating in the community. And, drumroll, we have a group called Mind Builders, which is a local group that's really focused on creative arts for children. And they have dance and music. They are going to do a performance with a little Zumba, a little salsa, a little African dance, and then lead a mini class for the people who attend.
That sounds so fun.
I
love that. I love
know.
That. Now, how can we contact you or get involved?
So you can go to montefiore.org, Diabetes Month. We have a whole calendar of events that are going out throughout the borough through the month of November. We're offering classes at Mind Builders, so if you wanted to join and sample a little yoga, sample a little
love yoga.
You can do that, and that whole schedule is going to be on our website. But remember, Friday, November 2nd, 3:30, we'd like to have the community come out and join us.
Friday, November 2nd at 3:30.
3:30.
All right. Let's have that instilled in their brains right now. That seems like an amazing event. Is there anything else that you would like to tell us about the event, or anything that people might not know about diabetes at all?
So we're going to have people who are also involved in the diabetes prevention program, so they'll be talking about how you can prevent diabetes. We're going to have people who are going to do weighings and talk about healthy eating. So it's going to be a multicultural, wonderful, fun-filled event. And I would love to have people come out and join us.
I am so excited. I'm so excited. I'm sure that it's going to be it's like I heard that a lot of people in the Bronx suffer from diabetes, and this is great information for them, and they definitely need this. So.
And it's a way to get that information out. So we do want people to come, and not only to that event, but to the other events that are being sponsored throughout the month.
I have a question for you. Now, what is the most common question that you seem to receive?
So there are probably two. One is, what can I eat? And so for many people, when they get the diagnosis of diabetes, it's like, are all foods off limits? And so one of the reasons I like people to come in to these events is to educate them that, it's not food. It may be the portion. And last year, our event was focused on sugary beverages and how we really don't need as many of them in our lives. So we had a lot of events that were looking at that. So education about nutrition is probably the most common.
Education about nutrition, I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And again, just say it one more time, Friday, November 2nd at 3:30.
Grand Hall, Montefiore Medical Center.
Yes.
Ah.
Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us, Doctor. I appreciate it. All right. So we have to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more Open.
Chiru has no choice. She and millions like her walk miles a day for dirty water. But together, we can end their walk by providing clean water close by. Instead of spending hours walking to get water that makes them sick, girls can be in a classroom, and moms will gain back time to care for their families. Sons and daughters can grow up strong, finally free of sicknesses. It's true. When you just add water, you change a life. Learn more at worldvision.org.
My name is Osvaldo Adames. I grew up in the Bronx and went to school right here at the Bronx School for Law, Government, and Justice. In the 7th grade, I hadn't given college that much thought. But all of that changed when I entered the Bronx Institute at Lehman College's Gear Up program. Gear Up helped simplify the entire college application process, helping me prepare for the SATs and organizing college visits and open houses. Last year, I graduated from Hamilton College in upstate New York with a major in mathematics and a minor in Mandarin Chinese. Now, I'm a teacher at my old middle school. I think back to 7th grade, and I honestly had no idea how much help Gear Up would be. They offered me the support I needed to succeed. If you're enrolled in Gear Up, talk to your academic coach or visit the Bronx Institute at www.thebronxinstitute.org for more information.
Welcome back. Healthy eating could be easy if you know how to make it smart, delicious, and make healthy choices. We welcome Patsy Buffolino, owner of Just Eat Better, here to open.
Yes. Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me.
How are you? Nice to see you.
Yes, thank you.
Now, what is all of this? This looks delicious.
So I bought a little variety over here, a few different assortments. Start off with some breakfast. We brought some protein oatmeal, packed with vanilla protein, some sliced bananas, granola, drizzled with a tiny bit of honey on top.
Oh, that looks delicious. I just want to show the camera this. This looks amazing. I don't know if you all can see that, but I see there's granola, and there's banana, and then what did you say it was drizzled
Drizzled with some honey.
Oh, that sounds so delicious.
So it'll still get that sweet tooth for you.
Yeah, and then I guess it's like a substitute from like a sweet breakfast, like pancakes or...
It's almost like it's our play on like an overnight oats. It's served cold, not as much work, nice and quick and easy for breakfast.
That looks delicious.
And something you can make at home very easy as well. The second thing I have over here, we started making smoothie bowls at the restaurant. So this one's called the Green Monster. We actually just released that one today. We put on our Instagram and everything like that. So the base is spinach, pineapple, and bananas. And then we topped it with some sliced almonds, blueberries, and unsweetened coconut.
And how did you come up with that, though? You know, spinach and banana.
You know what? I'd love to take credit, but it's not me. We do have other locations. My cousin started this business 14 years ago, so they've been really the innovators of this, and I love their concept and just kind of been running with it and brought it to the Bronx where I thought we needed a little help over here, you know, where I live.
And that's another thing I was going to ask you. So why bring this to the Bronx? Why get involved in kind of healthy eating?
You know, I live in the Bronx now for the last 10 years or so. My family's from the Bronx, so I've always spent a lot of time in the Bronx. And there's not a lot of choices out here. You know, an Italian kid growing up, I love pizza, I love my food, you know, I love everything, but at the same time, you can only eat so much of it. You know, I was a little overweight, so I had to make some life choices, and it wasn't so easy making those life choices with some of the places to eat. So, you know, every time I went out to Staten Island, I loved this place, so we had to bring it over here. You know.
I love it. Now what is this? What do we have here?
So again, going back, some pizza. So we did a white pizza, which is a low-fat mozzarella cheese topped with some broccoli, and we make our own turkey meatballs. Like I said, thin crust, not as many calories and carbs, still a way to enjoy pizza without getting all the pizza.
I love it. And these are homemade
Yes,
meatballs.
the turkey meatballs we make homemade, the mango salsa that we'll get to next, we make homemade. A lot of stuff we do make in the store upon, carrying fresh ingredients for everything.
I love it. Now you said this is mango salsa.
Yes.
This looks so delicious, and it's also beautiful. All these colors are kind of popping out at me.
So that's called a Hawaiian entree.
Okay.
It's fresh mangoes, some red onions chopped up, tomatoes, and just a little bit of red wine vinegar. Nothing overbearing, but still delicious, healthy, and kind of get your all food groups going.
I love it. Now we have a Bronx night market. I'm sure you know about.
Yes.
Where were you? Where was this food at the Bronx night market?
We're getting involved with the Bronx night. I started talking to them. I guess I was a little late to the party with that, but we're definitely getting involved with the Bronx night and trying to get a vendor's table over there, get going with everything.
I love it. I love it. Now this brings us to our last one. Now what is this exactly?
So that's one of our most popular salads. It's called a spring salad. We use fresh avocado. Our grilled chicken we slice fresh in the store, no antibiotics. Everything's all natural. Goat cheese, there's some dried cranberries, again, some almonds and red onions on there. And on the side, we have some low-fat balsamic vinaigrette dressing.
Yum, and I love avocados.
Yes, who doesn't love avocado?
I could eat avocados every single day.
I'm right there with you. Come on by.
I will. And then, well, what do you have here? I see that this is kind of like wheat bread, right? Or
yes. So again, one of my favorite things growing up was always chicken parm. So fried chicken cutlets, cheese, not always the best thing for you. We kind of have our little play on it. We do baked chicken cutlets, whole wheat breadcrumbs we bake in the oven,
Yum.
low-fat mozzarella cheese, some whole wheat bread, scoop out the inside, kind of save you on some calories and carbs, make it a little bit healthier for you as well.
I love it. Now, can we order this, or do you deliver, do you cater?
Yes, well, we do all of the above. We have a restaurant on Morris Park in Williamsbridge, Better Gourmet Health Kitchen, where all this food is available. We do delivery to the Bronx. Catering, we do delivery to the entire Bronx. Our delivery area is kind of the East Bronx right now. We're looking at other locations and stuff to expand, try and get the whole Bronx eating better. I'm
sure you will. That's just so interesting. So when you started, kind of changing the way you ate, what really, I know that you said that you kind of wanted to live a healthier life, but how did you get your taste buds to change? And all this stuff is delicious, but sometimes I just want, a burger and fries or something like.
Honestly, I think it's a mindset. It's a mindset that you have to have where, you don't want to put some, too much in your body and go overboard with things. You got to start reading labels and just kind of becoming more aware of what you're eating. That's really rule number one. And once you start becoming a little more aware of the labels that you're buying, from the grocery stores and stuff like that, it kind of makes it a little easier to make healthier choices and say, okay, if I do this instead of this, I can not eat as many calories or not eat as many carbs, and it starts snowballing from there. It's definitely a process, but it's once you get started, it's interesting and fun.
Absolutely. And what advice would you give to someone who's making to change their life?
Like I said just before, it's education. Educate yourself on what you're eating. There's no diet that's gonna, make you skinny and healthy right away. It's a lifestyle that you have to have and a mindset that you have to get into to just kind of go down a path and stick with it every day. Like you said, it's not always easy. Sometimes you want to go have that slice of pizza. There's options. Whole wheat tortilla, thin crust. You can still have the pizza, but not all the guilt of the pizza.
Absolutely. This looks delicious. I would just eat this on a cheat day or something. Do you eat this on a cheat day or?
I eat this regularly.
Oh, right.
This is what I eat regularly. Everything in moderation as well, but yeah, this is what I've been eating regularly the last few years.
And what about portion control? Because we just heard from the doctor. Now, do you have portion control to a lot of your meals?
So with that being said, we're rolling out a meal prep, which is more portion control, exact portions of everything. We have smaller meals, larger meals, depending on what your goals are and what you want to do, your intakes, stuff along those lines. So we are portioning out in that way, make it a little bit easier to eat and not have to worry about so much for work and stuff along those lines.
That's interesting. You know, I don't meal prep. I don't, and I want to get involved in that. I just don't really know how. What would you suggest?
One thing you could do is you could visit us, you know.
Oh, pub.
But another thing is, again, you know, knowing what you're eating, coming up with some ideas. It does take a little time to meal prep, so make sure you have some time. You got to go shopping, get the right ingredients, read your labels. You know, don't just buy things off the shelf. Make sure you're reading labels, buying fresh ingredients, no extra salt added, you know, no extra sugars and stuff like that. Make sure you're getting natural stuff, and just kind of come up with some things. Be creative, and you know, you'll find some good ideas out there that you like.
I love it. I love it. Now, what is like a normal week for you? Like, what do you eat on a normal week?
A lot of chicken.
A lot of chicken?
A lot of chicken. A lot of chicken. So we do a marinade out chicken. So I'm always in a restaurant working. So I do eat there for the most part. So I love the Hawaiian dish.
This looks delicious.
I do some salads. We sell turkey bacon there. So I like to make meals a little fat boy style, you know, some turkey bacon and cheese on some grilled chicken. So it's like a cheat meal, but you're really not cheating too much, you know, grilled chicken, turkey bacon, and some low-fat cheese. So just kind of stuff like that. I try and get creative myself.
Absolutely. All right. Well, like he said, visit them. And you could shout out your Instagram or where we can find you one more time.
Please please check us out at Better Gourmet or justeatbetter.com. You can order right from our website.
All right, we have to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more Open.
For all the papas out there, let's stop what we're doing and take a moment. A moment to be with our kids. They can be loud moments, goofy moments, sporty moments, dorky moments, kooky moments. Moments where we talk or walk or just hang out. It doesn't really matter. They all count, because every time dads take a moment to be with their kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's all take a moment to make a moment today.
Open up your books to page 360.
Did you just look at your phone while you was in class? You played yourself.
About inspirational quotes.
You gotta believe in yourself. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to make it, so make it.
Louise, can you give me an example of an inspirational quote?
Don't play yourself. The key is to make it.
And who said that?
I did. Now that's a major key alert.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at getschool.com.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund reading.
No.
Let me try. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out words.
Playing world music.
What?
I give up.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
Thank you for staying with us. What's happening in the political world, the upcoming midterm election, the shooting in Pittsburgh, and more. We welcome Michael Benjamin, Associate Editor of the editorial page of the New York Post.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
How are you?
I'm well. Now, we're going to talk about some of the things that's been happening this past week. You know, in the news, a lot has been happening, a lot has been going on in, you know, the shooting at the synagogue and, you know, both parties' kind of reaction to this shooting. You know, and I just kind of want your take on it first before I jump in.
Well, I would say it was a very bad week for the president. I mean, beginning with the mail bombs to the Democrats across the country, and then culminating with the murder of 11 people because they were Jews by a right-wing white nationalist who was, you know, in my view and that of many others, was being egged on by the president's use of the term that he's a nationalist, he's opposed to globalists, which sometimes could be a code word for Jews. And, you know, this guy, Robert Bowers, in Pittsburgh, he was getting a little frustrated the president wasn't doing more. And in one of his last social media posts, he talked about that he was tired of it and he was going to go in. And it turns out he went in and he shot and murdered, 11 Jews who were in temple, you know, at a bris for a baby, and just went in there and murdered folks. And the president, his first initial response was that if they had an armed security guard, they could have stopped the guy. Instead of expressing, you know, sadness that something like this could happen, tragic like this could happen, he talks about the use of another weapon. He's completely without any empathy.
Mm-hmm. Right. Now, how might the reactions from both political parties to these events affect voters going into the midterm elections?
I don't think either party leaders or folks running as candidates should seek to politicize what happened over the weekend. What they should talk about, I think many have been talking about, are the issues that affect Americans immediately. They've been talking about such as health care, and on the Republican side, they keep talking about, you know, the immigration, the caravan, and the president's desire now to try to end birthright citizenship. We can talk about the climate the president has created with his incendiary words about immigrants from Latin America.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Are you still there, Michael?
I'm still here, yeah.
Okay, and I just want to know, what implications might that have really for New York City, and particularly the Bronx? You know, because we are Bronxnet, and we would like to know on kind of like a local level what that might mean.
Well, I think Bronx officials and the city officials have struck the right note in saying, you know, they stand with our Jewish brothers and sisters against anti-Semitism, that they stand with our immigrant residents against the president's call for ending birthright citizenship. He's demonizing people in the caravan down in Mexico. You know, we don't believe that you should be, Bronxites and elected officials don't believe that we need to demonize persons who are migrants and are looking for a better life. It's just another way of doing it, and I think the mayor's been effective in saying that. Borough President Diaz has been effective in saying it.
Mm-hmm.
City Council Speaker Corey Johnson has been good in saying it. I think it's important. I think it's important also. You're hearing Democrats saying there's a need for people to go to the polls. If they oppose what the president has been about, they need to go to the polls and elect a Democratic Congress. Here at the New York Post, we feel a bit different. We think needs to be balanced, needs to be, you know, representation of both parties in government down in Washington, and there needs to be moderation and a toning down of the language and restoring stability in Washington, D.C., so we can resolve the important problems that face America.
All right, thank you, Michael. And I just want to ask one more question. Do you think that it's fair to attribute any of the violence that we've seen this past week to the rhetoric we've been hearing from the president himself?
Personally, yes. I believe the president is totally responsible for what is transpiring. He uses coded language. I don't think he's doing it without knowledge. I think he knows exactly what he's saying when he uses terms like nationalist. Says to a rally, "I'm a nationalist," and explains why. Don't protect America, make America first. When he talks about being anti-globalist and being against globalism, he knows what he's saying and what he wants to do to try to rile up his base. When he demonizes immigrants in the caravan by saying they're full of thieves and MS-13 members, they've got tuberculosis, they've got all kinds of diseases, he is dehumanizing them in an effort to try to bring out his base. Say, look, you need me as president of Republicans in the Congress to protect us from the Democrats who want open borders to bring in poisonous people. And I think there are some Americans, very many Americans, I think, who are opposed to his rhetoric and would say that he is totally responsible for what's transpired. I mean, he did not tell Bowers to go into the synagogue and murder 11 Jews. He didn't tell Caesar Sayok to send mail bombs to prominent Democrats and other critics of him and his administration. But his language and his incivility and his cheering on of incivility, I think has encouraged the lunatics that are out there among his supporters.
All right. Well, thank you for your take again, Michael Benjamin. We're going to go to a break, so we'll be back with more Open.
You think getting dumped by text is harsh? Try getting dumped by a tennis ball. My ex-owner drove me out to the woods, yelled fetch, and by the time I brought the ball back, he was gone. Yeah, I was pissed. But the folks at the shelter helped me let go of my anger. I learned coping skills, like taking it to the hole. Boom! Now I'm ready to fetch again. But how about I throw and you run and get it?
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made this vacation happen.
Double points with every purchase?
Cleverly merging promotions.
Love it.
Cross-referencing travel sites. And booking all your flights with those...
Vouchers. I got us bumped.
They were like, oh. But now they're like... Aloha. You aced this vacation. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
I'm only 17, but I know about investing. Believe in something, buy shares in it, watch it grow. So, what if you could invest in the future? The future of kids, like a stock. Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures. When you invest, it helps kids go to college. I could be one of the first college graduates from my family, the first philanthropist from my neighborhood. And if I'm the first, then maybe there's a second and a third. Believe in us, invest in us, watch us grow.
My name is Sydney, and I'm your dividend.
Rock and roll fans don't have to go very far to enjoy the best of the genre. This is Rock and Roll is a TV show that highlights music, culture, and history. Joining us now to discuss more our director and editor, Tyrone Berkel, and producer Victor Sabatini. I hope I said your names right.
Good.
Okay.
That's correct.
So talk a little bit about your show. I'm really interested in this, about rock and roll. Do you just talk about rock and roll?
Well, we don't just talk about it's mostly music.
Okay.
Okay, and it's about a lot of the people that had a hit record, you know, back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and they're still around doing shows, and we bring those artists onto the show, and you know, we talk about their career, listen to their music, and
find the little behind-the-scenes interesting stories that have always happened behind the music.
Oh, really? So it's kind of like, you know, that show on VH1 that's behind the music, I think it is.
Well,
and
we try to give a little bit of that and see what we can find with our host, Dennis Nardone. You know, he's a good interviewer. And, yeah, you always find little gems of stories that you would never have heard unless you tuned into our show and actually had conversations with them.
Okay. So talk about somebody who's recently been on the show, and what did they talk about?
well, we just recently had Dennis Nardone went to Las Vegas, and he did a shoot with the Bronx Wanderers, and they interviewed them. They played their music, and it was a great show.
Yes.
Wow. And did you talk about, you know, his life and, you know, his
Pretty
upbringing?
much like how it started in the Bronx and kind of worked its way up to them going to Las Vegas and playing at Bally's.
Yes, the whole journey.
The whole journey, yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was a two-part series, so it was a lot of footage. Got some footage of Vegas, you know, so it really had like that Vegas-Bronx kind of thing going on, which was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Now, walk me through the process of editing the show.
Well, when it comes to editing the show, we after shooting it, we just look for the extra songs that incorporate the joy from the fans that they're looking for from them, and we import those in the show. And when it comes to the rest of the editing, it's just trying to keep it interesting and put our tags in the front and put our tags in the back. So
we also like to get the people involved. So if they're dancing, we got a lot of dance scenes of you know, Bronx and Westchester people that are having a good time, coming out and having a great time dancing and enjoying the music.
Not only is Vic a producer on the show, he's also part of the Just Nuts Band, and that's a good element of the show, of This Is Rock and Roll, because that keeps the vibe of rock and roll within the Bronx and the Westchester community. So that's why we always incorporate the people that end up turning around and watching our show. So.
Oh, wow. So you were in the music industry yourself?
Yes, I'm the guitar player and singer of Just Nuts Band. And the host, Dennis Nardone, also has a radio show, WVOX. So kind of, you got the band, you have Dennis Nardone, and the shows that we go out and do. Like we got a show coming up November 10th, Woodlands High School. We'll have the Dubs. We'll have Tommy Pipes McDonald from the Blues Brothers. Yeah. All of this, and we'll be filming it and putting it on Bronxnet.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool, pretty cool. Now, what are some of the goals for the show?
The goals?
I think one of the goals right now is we may want to expand a little bit more past rock and roll. We've got had a lot of our fingers into doo-wop world, and we may be looking to explore into disco, and different avenues are kind of opening up for us. So more different, a variety of entertainment should be coming soon.
I like it, and I'm sure that this is, you know, nostalgic for a lot of people in the Bronx and in Westchester. What have been some of the reactions to the show?
We've been getting a lot of positive reaction. The people that watch the show, a lot of them see themselves on the show, because if we're doing a show and they're dancing, a lot of them people, you know, it's a good memory for them. That was a great night. We had a lot of fun. Now you see it on Bronxnet. If you couldn't get there, they could still enjoy it. They would say, "Oh, I wish I could have got there," you know. So.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Now, who are you going to talk to this week? Or is it a weekly show? Is it a...
Well, we just did the Duprees. We've been working on that for 2 days. We're still working on it. It's upstairs, being uploaded now, hopefully.
Sunday unless there's a problem somewhere in the back here where we can't get it
Oh,
on.
I don't-
Oh, I don't want to email. But Sunday we have the Duprees coming on 68, and we edited this nice collage in there. Dennis went over to the Westchester Broadway Theater, and I think it was a great way to capture those guys in the back before they got ready to do their performances. So.
Right. And we also have Buffolino. He's the associate producer. He kind of sets up the stage. And we have Mary, who does the announcing, announces Dennis in. So it's kind of like a nice format. You got Just Nuts, then Mary announces Dennis, Dennis comes out, and then the artist.
Yes.
You know, which is pretty cool.
And I mean, are people like coming up to you like, oh my God, I really love this. You know, I love that you're
Yes,
bringing.
definitely.
I love it. I love it. I love music, and you know, I'm not really into rock and roll that much, but you know, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that, you know, people of the Bronx can say, that we appreciate rock and roll.
Yeah.
So.
And music in general.
And music in general, that's right.
All the same notes and chords, and then that's just what it is.
That's right. Is there anything else that you would like to tell us about your show, and when is it going to be on exactly?
Sunday nights at 8 p.m., and that's FiOS 34 and Optimum 68.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you for joining us and talking about your show. Yeah. All right. Again, Sunday nights at 8 p.m.?
8 p.m.
8 p.m. on FiOS 34. All right. We have to take a quick break, but stay tuned. More after this.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Behold, the angry giant. Behold, the angry giant. Behold, the angry giant. Behold, the angry giant.
It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
And I can't change, even if I try, even if I wanted to. My love, she keeps me warm. 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 She keeps me warm.
We are neighbors and best friends.
I love my sister.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
Why don't you ever see elephants hiding in trees? Because they're really good at it. Yeah, I get it.
As the midterm elections approaches, our station is preparing for a full coverage of what could be a historic night. Joining us now on a phone call, veteran journalist from Bronxnet and from Bronxnet, Gary Axelbank. How are you, Gary?
Hey there, Dorissa. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Now, what are we looking for midterm coverage?
Well, Bronxnet Television, as usual, is doing a really tremendous job. And actually, and I've been around obviously a long time at the station. This year, we're probably doing the best coverage that we've ever done, and that really encompasses a lot because we've done a lot over the years. And on election night, we're going to have an election special. I believe, I don't have a strong memory of this, but I think we may have done it way back when the station first started. We're talking in the 90s. But really, this year is the first year that we've done this, comprehensively. And now for the second time, we did it for the primary, and we're doing it again for election night. And between 8 and 10 p.m., we will have panelists, and I will be here, and we'll kind of look at results and try and give people a Bronx perspective on the midterms. Now, that, of course, means somewhat of a look at, the national picture, which, of course, to be honest, others can probably cover it better than we can. But nobody can talk about, the various issues involved, whether it be healthcare, immigration, all these other things that are on the table from a Bronx perspective better than we can at Bronxnet Television. And so that's what we're going to do. And if I can just add in, we will watch, the most interesting races to the Bronx, and that, of course, involves the Democratic nominee for the 11th, if I get the numbers right, for the 11th Council District, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and then what has been a highly contentious race in the 34th Editorial District with Alessandra Biaggi. But I believe also because of Bronxnet's relationship with WFUV, some of their reporters will be in the field. I think maybe even you, Dorissa, might be somewhere out there.
I will be.
So, we're really, I think, going to do a really good job.
Absolutely. Are you going to have a panel, or what are you all going to be discussing exactly?
Well, funny you should say that. Later today, we're probably going to nail that down, so I don't want to give anything away. But if history is any guide, then yes, we'll bring in people to talk about these things. I should add that not only will we be doing that, currently on Bronx Talk, what's been running this week is the debate for the 87th Assembly District. We're going to be videotaping another debate for the 86th Assembly District. But it likely will run right through Election Day. We're going to be working on that tomorrow. And then really for a very special edition of In the District, and we're going to be doing that later today. And I think this is really important for Bronx voters. There are 3 ballot proposals out there, and especially with the elections, especially with the high-profile races that are going on, it kind of gets overlooked. But these are very important things. For example, should we adjust the amount of money that is required, or that is, it's actually lowering the amount of money for campaign contributions? Should we be limiting the community board members' tenure? Can we impose term limits on that? That is a really interesting question. And then the third question is, do we create a commission to help I don't want to say voter participation, but citizen participation in government, and that's the third proposal. These are all really interesting things that, in some ways, maybe even affect life and political life in the city of New York more than the actual candidate, and people aren't informed. So I'm going to have a special In the District program today, which will again run. Bronxnet repeats the programs, makes them really accessible. So there's a lot going on.
It's a lot.
And Bronxnet is really doing, as usual, a great job at being your voice, your views, and your vision.
Now I have a question, Gary. You've been with this station for about 25 years, correct?
It is correct.
Okay. Now, how has the coverage been like in the 1990s versus now?
Well, here's what's interesting. It's a tremendous question. And people don't realize it because, you live now and you take News 12, and they also do a great job, and we never view it as competition. We just work with them, to provide good media to the Bronx. There was a before News 12, and before News 12, Bronxnet Television had a news program that ran every day and every night. I did some news and I did some sports on that station. And so that's why your question is so interesting, because I just don't have a firm recollection, but I'm pretty sure that we did some of this kind of hardcore election coverage during those years prior to News 12, because there was no other way to get news in the Bronx on television unless, we provided it. And so, as was completely appropriate, that's what we did. And, it makes me very proud to have been part of it for all those years. But more importantly, helping Bronxites, learn about their communities, understand more about what's going on. I mean, that's my personal professional mission, and certainly, Michael Max and Marissa White, who work so hard at Bronxnet, that's what they work on literally every single day.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Gary. I appreciate you calling in and giving us your take on, what's coming up for the midterms. So thank you so much.
It's exciting, and I'll just mention, people, please stay on the station, stay with what we're doing, because the whole objective is to improve the borough of the Bronx and give people your voice, your views, and your vision. I don't know how else to say it. Thank you very much.
That's right. Thank you, Gary.
Yeah.
All right, we've come to an end of our show today. I'd like to thank all of our guests for joining us and you, the viewers, for tuning in. If you missed any part of today's show, you can catch up with us on the Cablecast at 5 and 10 p.m. on the Optimum Channel 67 and Verizon Fios 33, or watch anytime on our Bronxnet.org website. Thank you.
Why don't you ever see elephants hiding in trees? Because they're really good at it. Yeah, I get it.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
$150 over 90.
180 over 111.
160 over 110. I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure looks like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from invisible or silent. If you've come off your treatment plan, get back on it, or talk with your doctor to create an exercise, diet, and medication plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
If I would have followed a treatment plan, I would not be in this situation.